I'm glad I'm not the only one sniffling. Good to hear. So here, as we celebrate All Souls Day, or in my family, Dia de los Muertos, tried to dress the part today. You know, I recognize that this is one of those big mysteries that makes religion matter, right? It's one of the big reasons why we are a spiritual community, because we wrestle with, what does it mean that we live and die? Why is it like this and not some other way? Some of us hope for heaven, some for a positive reincarnation, some for release from the cycle of suffering. The truth is that nobody knows what happens when we die. We know the physical parts, maybe, mostly. We know that our bodies are made of parts of the earth, and that when we pass away, all those parts return to the earth, to the cycles of water and air, soil, and fellow living beings. To me, that brings a lot of solace, that at least that I can depend on. When I pass, I won't be gone, I'll be changed. But the mystery remains that the life force that animates us, we don't really understand fully. We don't know how life emerged exactly, how it sustains, or what happens to it after that spark drains away. I kind of like to think of it like, I hope this reference by now is palatable to all ages. The internet, right, is, we're all there at this point. The internet is this sort of glowing space that's more than space. You can't quite touch it, but you can connect to it, and other people are connected to it, and you can communicate, and lots of things happen, and our lives, in a lot of ways, happen partially, only partially, on the internet. And each of our devices, our computers or our phones, are an individual unit that's connecting to the internet. But the internet continues, even if our phone gets cracked and dies, or our computer gets obsolete. The internet continues, and what we contributed to it from that device, from that individual source, remains a part of that greater web. Our Universalist ancestors were, the thing that set them apart from the other Christians at the time was this kind of preoccupation with afterlife, with trying to guess if we would go to heaven or hell and what would send us there. They decided that it didn't make sense. They just could not accept a God that would create us in this mysterious, sometimes painful, confusing world where we struggle and we have joy and then we die. They couldn't understand a God that would then also send us to hell for things we didn't understand, didn't choose. They were just like, we just can't be down with a God that does that. So instead, they came up with a theology that perhaps God's love, in the Christian understanding, transcends all the deeds that we do, transcends whether we embarrass ourselves in 9th grade and never forget about it, transcends the ups and downs of politics, that God's love holds everything, all the good, all the bad, those who die at an old age, those who die very young. They couldn't understand a God that would condemn unbaptized infants to an eternity of punishment. They just couldn't compute that, and I'm with them. Instead, they understood a God that includes and holds all things. And though I'm an atheist, I really resonate with that, with a universe in which all things exist. That's what the universe is. And so when death happens, that unit, that individual life may end, but it came to be, and then it returns to the system, and more blossoms happen, more cycles, more lives in a greater whole, a web of capital L life that transcends each individual, but also includes us. We had a new member class recently where we talked about some of this, and we talked about how if we don't believe in hell, which Unitarian Universalists generally do not, if we don't believe in that, then we have to believe, what does that mean for our morality? Then we have to do good for its own sake, not because we're anticipating some eternal reward or punishment. And that can be hard sometimes. You mean I'm not going to get a marshmallow if I wait long enough? You know those experiments with the 4-year-olds, and you just have to watch them wait for their marshmallow? But doing good because we are part of a greater living ecosystem trying not to die. Keeping our earth healthy, keeping ourselves, our communities, our loved ones healthy and happy so that life itself can continue. That, to me, is the greater purpose and mission of our lives. But that's something that we all have to figure out individually in our own spiritual journeys. Why do we exist? Why do we exist in a world with so many different people who want different things, and how do we move forward together? That, of course, brings up that we have an election on Tuesday. Woo, y'all. I really don't know what exactly I can say other than I'm probably feeling what a lot of you all are feeling: anxiety, uncertainty. I don't remember an election that's ever been completely 50-50, we don't know what's going to happen. And, sometimes life's like that, and it kind of sucks, but what our spiritual tradition teaches us is that in the uncertainties of life, in the tragedies of life, there are deeper things we can hold on to. Deeper truths, the roots of community, good for its own sake. I really feel that life on Earth evolved to be the part of the universe that's resisting entropy, resisting the death of all things. That life is the way the universe itself is resisting death. And I think that we humans evolved to be able to understand that, to be able to affect the ecosystem in order to do it better. Unfortunately, we haven't quite got the hang of it yet. But I have faith that we can. We're quite clever. And in the aggregate, quite kind, I think. We have this miracle of consciousness, the beauty of interspecies friendships, the drama of love and the pain of birth and the beauty of children and family and chosen family, the preciousness of our short lives, the choices that we get to make each and every day. It didn't have to happen. It's kind of lucky. We get to go through these things, and that's amazing. I think that we are the part of the universe that is sensing itself, aware of its own beauty, able to appreciate the good parts because the bad parts have to be worked through and make us hold together through them. I think our culture is a little death averse. We're a little shy of it. We don't really like to talk about it very much. But the truth is that death is part of life. It's not its opposite. It's not the villain of the story. When a tree falls in the forest, it rots, and it becomes a beautiful, healthy ecosystem for bugs and moss and squirrels and all these other animals. It makes the life of the forest possible. And so that remembering that we are in a cycle, a greater wholeness that is bigger than our individual selves, that's what religion and spirituality are all about. reminding ourselves of that so that when we feel overwhelmed, when we feel too small, when the world seems out of control, we remember that there is a bigger purpose and a beautiful reality that we get to take part of. And the truth that we also know is that love continues through death. Even those we've never met affect our lives. My father's sister, who was also named Lóre, passed away before I was born, and I'm named after her. I never met her, but when I was a kid, I always felt like, I thought of her as like a guardian angel. When I wanted a poodle, I said, well, Aunt Lóre would want me to have a poodle. And when my abuela, Esther Garza, passed away, I have felt similarly about her passing, that I don't necessarily believe in an afterlife, but their memories really do give me a lot of comfort. They remind me that I'm part of an ancestry, a bigger mission, generations and generations long, of people, of women struggling to continue life in a dangerous world. Authors and the wisdom leaders of our spiritual traditions are also those we never met, but whose lives affect us. And we never know what we might do that could affect the future as well. Our ancestors lived and struggled so that we could arrive at this moment. So what shall we do with that responsibility? With the miracle of consciousness and the difficult opportunity of connection? What will we leave to our descendants? May those questions live on.